Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Late Sports Debate on WCUW The Talon. I am your host, Christian Dufresne, alongside with my co-hosts, Nick Mirasola and Tyler Schillinger. We also have a guest speaker today, Anthony Magno, who will be giving us a couple facts throughout the show, so good to have him here. We have a whole lineup today for you guys of various different sports topics. Starting off, we'll be talking about Bryce Harper going to the Phillies. We'll also talk a little bit about the NFL Combine, big names like DK Metcalf, Parrish Campbell, Kyler Murray not doing anything there, so that'd be interesting. We'll talk about the upset the Bucs had yesterday against the Suns. Talk about Nick Foles potentially going to the Jaguars. Also, we'll explain what's going on with the Lakers. Sola.
It's been a rough couple of weeks, let me tell you.
Yeah, all right. So along with the Lakers, we'll be talking about LeBron and will he be shutting it down, as well as a hometown hero, Eric Bledsoe, and his new contract extension, what that can mean for the Bucs in the future. And we'll also be talking about another debate that's kind of gone on throughout the sports world of the difference between preseason or spring training and is it really worth it and what is the purpose of it, as well as a preview for the MLB season.
Go Brewers.
So with that, we'll be playing our first song, This Feeling by the Chainsmokers. And welcome back, everybody, to the Late Sports Debate. So kind of talking about the last topic that we had, talking about tampering with Bryce Harper, Magno did a fact check for us. Anthony, what do you have for us?
Okay, so we have here that he has not been fined yet, but MLB is looking into it, so he could get fined in the upcoming days.
Okay, so it's under investigation. So that's kind of a news story that we could be looking out for. Bryce Harper already getting in trouble right away with his first team. So
well, he's got a lot of money, so
yeah.
What's one fine?
Yeah, exactly. That's like $3 to us. So yeah, exactly. He could buy plenty more McChickens than one with that. So moving on. So all right. So the next topic we're going to talk about is the NFL Combine that took place this past weekend, and we're just going to highlight some of the big players that were there, participated, and even one guy that didn't participate in anything. So the first player we're going to talk about is DK Metcalf, and man, is that guy a beast or what?
Just an absolute monster. Just come on.
There we go. We're back.
Sorry for everybody. Just an absolute monster. He is just built beyond belief.
It's incredible. 1.9% body fat. It's insane.
I'll be honest. I've never heard of this guy until the draft until the
same.
Combine. So
have you guys heard about his story about what he's gone through in college?
I've not.
So this year I looked up his stats, just wondering how he was during the season, and he only played 7 games because he suffered I believe a knee injury this year.
Oh wow!
And so he was able to rehab and come back for this Combine and posted the insane stats that he did at the Combine.
That's good for him.
It's an impressive story. As you could tell, he's a hard worker and dedicated to his craft.
Yeah, for sure.
21 years old.
Yeah. So, Magno, do you have our the stats for DK Metcalf and just showing what he did at the Combine, his 40-yard dash, everything like that?
Okay, so his 40-yard dash was a 4.33.
That's insane.
A man that big, 4.33, insane.
The height. What's his height?
His height is 6'3". That's Julio Jones's height.
He's 6'3", what, 235, something like that?
228.
228. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a force.
And he could bench 27 reps of 225.
Yeah, that's
more
just
than
a total beast.
What
was his body fat percentage again?
1.9%.
Oh,
yeah.
It was
my.
insane. So he's just kind of been a stud. He's a stud, and I'm really excited to see, just because not a lot of people were, open to him when he played actually in college, and just seeing where he's everyone knows who he is now. He's becoming a household name for people following the draft, and I honestly think he'll have a great NFL career. We'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, as long as he stays away from injuries, and we'll see how he goes.
He'll have a bright future for sure. So.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm sure any team that gets him will be excited, and hopefully he could be a number 1 receiver in his future. So another person we'd like to talk about was someone that didn't participate in the Combine, and that would be the two-sport athlete Kyler Murray. So what do you guys think? Do you think it hurts his draft stock or helps his draft stock that he didn't participate in the Combine?
Honestly, I don't think it can hurt it at all for him not participating. I think if he would have participated and put up insane stats like DK,
Metcalf.
the wide
yeah.
receiver,
Mhm.
then I think it could have helped him improve his draft stock. But him not participating, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Mhm.
He had an insane season. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. The only thing I would say, though, is that I was actually watching on some of the sports debate shows today.
Yeah.
People were making the points that he only started in college football for 1 year.
Yep.
You know, he wasn't like they compare him to Baker Mayfield, but Baker, he played all 4 years.
Yeah, Baker had. I mean, if you look at guys that only had like 1 year experience, like guys like Mark Sanchez, like obviously we saw what happened in his career. It didn't pan out as everyone thought it would. So that'll be an interesting thing to take into factor.
Do you think if, like, let's say he does get drafted and goes into the NFL and it doesn't work out, would you think that he would fall back to baseball? Do you think he would
I don't
that?
see why not. I mean, I honestly don't see him becoming a bust. I feel like he's got like a great head on his shoulders and really like knows what he's doing and is also dedicated. But why not? I mean, if you're that talented at two sports, you might as well try it.
Right.
So, but
Do we know, and you might want to look this up, Magna, for another fact check. Do we know, is Kyler Murray, because they still have, like, you know how the colleges at some of the schools that those guys played at, they have the college pro days where they do all of that.
I believe he is participating in this pro day. So that's where he'll showcase his arm talent and everything like that. I'm not sure if he'll run the 40 or anything like that. I mean, everyone knows he's fast.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess a number really isn't a big deal. But
well, I know another thing that, like, ESPN, everyone was making a big deal, and I find it kind of funny. And I mean, I guess it's kind of a big deal, but you know how everyone was talking about his height being an issue.
Yeah, and
but his official height at the combine was 5'10", and people are like, well, if he was 5'9", we might have to be a little worried, but I guess 5'10's fine.
Some of the best quarterbacks in the league are under 6 feet, like Russell Wilson. Drew Brees is at 6 foot, they say. I mean,
you could argue Drew Brees is top 3, top 2 quarterback of all time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, and all these guys are crazy athletic. They make up for that height. They got great vision of the field. It's just it really depends on the person. It's really like a case by case. That's why scouting is a really tough job. Like, I almost think to be an NFL scout, you have to be more in tune to the mental side and rather than their physical traits. Because everyone that goes to the NFL, they're physical like specimen.
Right.
And so everyone's going to be talented. I think the real thing that people need to focus on is how seriously they take the game and also like their mental toughness. Are they going to be able to like handle the pressures that come with being in the NFL? And
yeah, that is such a huge thing. And I know with the NFL Combine and the draft, I know a lot of those players, it's like they're going through an interview process. They actually get interviewed by these teams like they're going to an actual full-time job. That's exactly what it is. And with the NFL, like, it's, you know, you have to be a physical specimen, but you also have to be so mentally strong.
Yeah, you have to be quick-witted. There's going to be like tons of reporters. I mean, I'm sure a lot of these athletes dealt with that in college, but it's going to get even more like intense in the NFL. So, yeah, definitely a transition for all those guys looking to get drafted this year. Another person that we like to talk about from the draft would be Parrish Campbell, and man, he had a great pro day as well. He turned a lot of heads. I believe Magno can back me up on this, but I believe his 40 time was a 4.31. Yeah, 4.31, and he was really. I watched him on a couple of the drills, running crisp routes, great hands, great speed. He looks like he's ready for the NFL. How do you guys feel about him? Do you feel like he'll be a success in the NFL along with like DK Metcalf?
I love Parrish Campbell. He's a 4-year guy from Ohio State. He had an insane career playing there under Urban Meyer. One of my good buddies at home is actually a huge Ohio State fan. So just being able to watch some of the games with him, I kind of got to learn a little bit more about Parrish and his game. I definitely think he'll be a really great piece right away, hopefully on a contending team, because people don't have him going in the top half of the first round,
which I think would benefit him. Like,
yeah, for
if he
sure.
could get to the team, like, I don't know, the Packers. Honestly, the Packers need a receiver.
That would be huge.
On a lot of guys' draft boards, they actually have Parrish Campbell going at the end of the first round with the Saints pick that the Packers have.
Yeah, that I would say that'd be a great move for the Packers. That would definitely, especially if they don't sign Randall Cobb, would be a great move. So
just how fast he is and the hands that guy has.
Yeah, he is definitely
be something special.
Definitely a specimen. So yeah, we'll see how he goes. Yeah, it's just interesting. Also, you were talking about how you have kind of like a personal connection with Paris Campbell. If you wanted to share that with us.
Yeah, I guess I kind of do. So going back to my buddy at home, he's a huge Ohio State fan, and he actually reached out to Paris Campbell, and Paris actually follows my friend on Twitter. And Paris, he's a pretty big gamer like myself.
Mm-hmm.
He loves playing 2K. And
Great game.
I've actually been able to play my park with Paris and my buddy before. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. So to see a guy who's going to get drafted, maybe be an NFL star, I was able to play my park game with him.
Yeah, it's kind of cool because you could see like these guys, even though they're like held on like this higher standard because they're potentially going to be pro athletes in the most popular league in America. This shows that they're like normal people too, and they'll play video games, 2K, just like any of the rest of us. And it shows that they are going through a huge change, and like their life's about to get changed in a whole new way. Hopefully for the positive, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah. So, kind of along with that, I also have a personal connection with someone in the draft. I don't know if any of you guys follow like the NFL on various like social medias, but they did one section having to do with the punters and kickers, which I thought was interesting, and I'd never seen that. And
never really see these guys running.
No, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't know they were coming to the combine except for this year because one of my good friends, his name is Alex. He actually used to go to CUW. His cousin, his name is Jake Bailey. He's the punter for Stanford, and he ran his 40-yard dash. He was the first person out of everybody at the combine to run. Competed in everything, and he actually kind of killed it. Like he ran a 4.72, which is, I mean, that's pretty good for a punter. Not a guy that needs to be known for his speed. He also posted like 17 reps on the bench press, which I believe was more than Paris Campbell, right?
Yeah, that was.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's so like he's kind of a stud, and it's kind of cool to see. Like I remember growing up with him, like at various different things, at different parties. We even played like a football game when we were kids together, playing tackle football, and he was a beast back then. So
he could probably play some other positions besides.
Yeah, honestly, like he could be a receiver. Like yeah, but we'll see what happens with him. I mean, I'm really hoping he comes to my hometown Chargers. We're in need of a punter, so
that would be awesome.
That would be cool and
help bring the Chargers back to San Diego.
Exactly,
yeah,
bolt up, baby.
Yeah, bolt up.
So we'll see what goes. I mean, you hear about like Johnny Hecker like perfecting the fake punt. I think he's another guy that could pull that off as well. So we'll see how he does, and kind of just a shout out to him. So yeah, with that, so what are you guys' thoughts on the draft coming up? Do you feel like anything's changed since the combine? I mean, obviously a name that people had no idea about was DK Metcalf, and now he's made a name for himself.
Came out of the water, yeah.
Do you guys see like any like surprise pick after the combine, like moving up in the draft board, or do you still feel the same like with what you had?
Well, I definitely think with how good Metcalf did at the combine, I definitely think that's going to raise his draft stock. What I've really heard is people are saying it's going to come down to, for that number one pick, it's either going to be Bosa out of Ohio State, or it's going to be Kyler Murray. So I don't know. I the Cardinals, they have the number one pick. They got Josh Rosen last year. He didn't play the full season. We'll see. They have a new coach now, but I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting if they pull that trigger for Kyler Murray.
It would be interesting to see what happens with Josh Rosen next year. I mean, I honestly would not be shocked if Kyler Murray went there, just because the Cardinals' new coach, he said he's had a great relationship with Kyler Murray in the past, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
And then there's that clip from when he was coaching down in Texas.
Yeah, this is Cliff Kingsbury, the new Cardinals coach.
Yeah, so this was before he left Texas A&M or Texas Tech. I'm not really sure which school he was from.
Yeah, I believe Texas Tech, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyways, when he was coaching this past season, he came out and said if he was an NFL coach, or if he had the number one pick in this upcoming draft, that he would pick Kyler Murray with the first pick. And now he's the coach of the Arizona Cardinals, and they have the first pick.
And yeah,
so we'll see.
Definitely got put in like kind of a weird position there, so we'll see how that goes. Really quick before we go to another music break, I want to get your thoughts on Nick Bosa and like how he didn't like finish out the season. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that when I was bringing up Nick Bosa's name, and it actually really, I feel like you can compare that to this current situation with Zion Williamson and Duke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Ohio State, they're always championship caliber team trying to get to that national championship game. And Bosa went down early to the middle part of the season when Ohio State was still a really good team. And, I don't believe his injury was too serious. It was not bad enough where he could have came back.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously he decided to hang it up for his college career and get ready for the draft. So, I don't blame him too much because, with the difference between football and basketball, you're obviously at a much greater risk of getting
Concussions
and just getting a lot more hurt than playing basketball. So, I don't have anything against him not coming back. But, Zion, I know we're not talking about that. I hope he comes back, and I think he should come back.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, it's kind of interesting just with Nick Bosa. I mean, for me, like the competitor in me, being a college athlete as well, if I wouldn't do what he did, and just because like you love competing and like you want to be loyal to your team and your teammates, and like I don't know, it just feels kind of weird to me. But I understand like why he did it, his intentions for the future, making a career out of playing football. But just for me personally, I just would rather not.
You want to get back out there.
Yeah, exactly. You want
to
to be there for your teammates and play for your teammates. And I mean, just think about the position he's in. He's a very lucky guy to be able to be competing to play for the NFL. So, but that's totally his decision, and I could see where he's coming from, not wanting to risk ruining his NFL career. So,
actually, I have a question for all you guys.
Yeah.
Who do you think will be the number one pick? Do you think it will be Nick Bosa, or do you think it'll be Kyler Murray?
I think the Cardinals are going to shock everyone and go with Kyler Murray.
I think so?
Yeah, I think that Josh Rosen, he might be a backup this year for the Cardinals, and he'll be released, join whatever team needs a quarterback next year. But it would not shock me at all if Kyler Murray went number one. I mean, we saw that last year with Baker Mayfield, who was the best quarterback in college, but not the number one prospect at the beginning of this draft process.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then he went number one. I would not be surprised if that happened again with Kyler Murray. So
the only thing I have to say about with Baker Mayfield going to the Browns and Kyler Murray potentially going to the Cardinals, the Browns, they had a really good supporting cast. All they didn't have was a quarterback. So
they really did, yeah.
Him honestly going to the Browns was a perfect situation for any quarterback, especially a young one. He had a great receiving core, good running back, a really good defense. And honestly, the Cardinals, they don't really have much of anything. So
I mean, because you got guys like Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, he'll be good, but he's not the long-term solution. And then you got David Johnson, which we don't know where he stands right now. So
you don't know
it'll be interesting
how their O-line's going to be. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah,
especially for a young quarterback. So
and like if you look at Kyler Murray in college, just kind of playing like devil's advocate here, if you look at him in college, he came to a team that already had a great quarterback and was in place to make sure that great quarterback was successful. Then he went in there and basically was a little better version of Baker Mayfield. So,
but honestly, I don't know. It's gonna come down between those two guys.
I think so too.
One of those guys will be the number one pick.
Yeah, and if Kyler Murray doesn't go to the Cardinals, I think he actually might drop to like 13 with the Dolphins because I think the Giants are set on taking Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
And so I think if Murray doesn't go number one, he'll slide maybe even out of the top 10, which is kind of interesting to say because he's one of the most talented players in this draft. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's kind of an exciting time for all these new guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make the bold prediction. It's the quarterbacks league. I think they're going to go with Murray. I think they're going to pull the trigger. Because I mean, I don't know. You need in today's NFL, you need a quarterback. Look at Denver; they're still trying to get a quarterback.
Yeah, yeah, kind of a weird situation there. I thought it should have been better for them to go with a quarterback in the draft, but I guess Joe Flacco's their answer. So we'll see what they do with that. All right, with that, we'll be taking another music break. And then we'll come back and start talking about the Bucks getting stunned by the Phoenix Suns for the second time this year. So be right back after that. And we're back. Welcome back to the Late Sports Debate. So before we get into our next topic, we kind of have a real quick fact check from Anthony talking about the upcoming draft. So Anthony, what do you have for us?
Okay, so this is going back to Kyler Murray.
Okay.
And so if he doesn't go number one, the next person that I could really see him going to, the next team that I could really see him going to is the number 7 seed at Jaguars.
Yes, that is interesting. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. talking about how maybe potentially Nick Foles will be going there. So we'll see how that goes. I think if that would be definitely a good spot for him, honestly. They have a decent team, and we'll see what happens. I mean, if they don't get Nick Foles, that might be a potential landing spot. Were there any other ones that you're seeing as well?
I was also seeing we could see a trade. Coming in for the from the 15th team at Washington. They could trade up because they don't have a quarterback in Alex Smith.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Yeah, now that you say that, there's plenty of possibilities. I mean, you never know what happens on draft day. So,
Should be interesting.
yeah, definitely. All right, so moving on. I don't know. Are you guys getting worried about this? The Bucs have dropped 2 games for the
No.
first time this year. I mean,
Not at all. Freaking Mike. Okay. Not at all.
yeah, I don't think the Bucs fans need to worry. It's just kind of interesting if you think about it, though. The Bucs are the best team record-wise in the NBA, and they've gotten swept by the
Phoenix Suns.
worst team in the NBA, the
Come on,
Phoenix
man.
Suns. I mean, what do you think it is? Why do you think the Phoenix Suns have something over the Bucs that no one else does?
Well, I just want to say one thing first. Honestly, I think Bucks fans should actually clap because this is actually the first time that the Bucks have lost a back-to-back game this whole season.
Yeah, that's
I think that is
insane.
incredible. And honestly, the game they lost to the Jazz, which was before the Suns,
Mhm.
that was coming off a back-to-back night. They're going to Salt Lake City, always a hostile environment. So honestly, I kind of expected a loss there. The Suns, I don't think anyone expected. Honestly, I don't know how they lost to the Suns both times this season.
They're
Yeah,
just
it seems.
kryptonite.
Yeah, it's. I mean, but it's honestly like the Bucs are killing themselves. I mean, if you look at the stats, Chris Middleton was 1 of 13 from the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that he's an all-star, and like you just don't see that from him. I mean, look at guys like Eric Bledsoe, 0 for 6 from three-pointers.
Nikola Mirotic.
3 of 10. Yeah, it's just they have their off night, and I mean like guys like Kelly Oubre Jr. from the Suns.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a household name. You don't see him going off every night for 30, and he had 27. So
Yeah.
just kind of interesting.
And-
I mean,
And I want Magno to do a fact check right here. I believe the Suns, I mean, unless they lost the last couple days, I believe they're on a 4-game winning streak. Look up if they're on a winning streak right now. But as Tyler was looking up at the commercial break, they're at the worst. They have the worst record right now in the NBA, and
Right.
they don't really care about tanking for that Zion pick.
yeah, they got nothing to lose, so
Oh, they did.
Okay.
Okay.
dropped one of the Pelicans. But they also, I saw they beat the Lakers. I mean, with a Lakers team that we'll get to them
We'll
later.
get to that
but,
later. Oh.
Yeah, but I think talk about a team that's desperate for a win, and the Suns beat them too. So, I mean, honestly, do you guys think the Suns have a bright future? No pun intended.
That is good. You know, actually, I was watching something on TV the other day. Magna's losing it right now.
Yeah, sorry, that was really cheesy.
That was good. We had an audience. I don't know if you guys saw earlier. We had an audience, and we were telling them if we would say anything funny tonight to do a
do a little audience laugh for us, but I think they got tired of us.
they left right after the first commercial break.
Yeah.
But, honestly, with the Suns with the bright future, I don't know. You know, they haven't really done much since the Steve Nash days. So, and that was like a decade ago, which is crazy to think about now. I don't know. They signed Devin Booker in the offseason to a huge contract, so he's locked up for a decent amount of his prime. It would be nice to see him build around. Obviously, they have Ayton, who's a rookie this year, and he's actually having a pretty good year. So I don't know. You know, I want to say that they're going to have a really good future to look forward to.
Little squeaker, not sure what that was.
I think that was my mom. Sorry about that. You know, sorry. I don't know. I hope they're going to have a bright future, but you know, they have the worst record in the NBA. And
Right.
they basically have the last couple of years, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Like you said, they really don't have very much to lose. But they did do they're making moves forward with signing Devin Booker. But yeah, they're a very young team, and I think with the upcoming draft in this year, they'll be able to start making some moves forward, and like you said, potentially have a brighter future. So they can only move up now from being on the bottom. So.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on Devin Booker. I mean, you see this guy; he's obviously one of the better scorers in the NBA, averaging around like 25 points per game this year. I don't believe he was an all-star, and I think that's
no.
more because of his team that he's on. I
Right.
think he is one of the great talents, but honestly, I don't know if he has that superstar quality that you see guys like LeBron, Giannis, Steph Curry, guys like that can like take a team and not make it their own, but like them being there, improving everyone
Right.
else. I just I haven't seen it yet, obviously, because their record is this bad. But like,
I haven't really seen like the leadership come out of him that much. It's
Yeah.
more just being a team player and staple and
yeah,
being a
and,
role player on the
and-
Phoenix Suns.
and
rather than-
honestly, as I'm sure as he grows, he'll develop more of those leadership skills. I mean,
Right.
I'm
He is
rooting for
young.
the guy. I think he's a really talented player. I mean, he had what was it, a 70-point game last year?
70-point loss
Yeah, he had,
Oh.
against the Celtics.
wow,
Yeah.
yeah,
That is insane.
yeah, and that's insane. I mean, you could show that they really don't have anybody else on the team
Right.
scoring 70 points and losing a game. That's insane.
And we have a fact check. Magno, what is the current Phoenix Suns winning streak?
Magno.
Their current winning streak is only 2 games. They lost the
Okay, so it wasn't the 4 games?
No, it wasn't 4 games.
They beat the
Before-
Lakers before that, though,
They
right?
beat the Lakers before,
Okay.
but they were on a 17-game losing streak before that.
17. Wow.
Hey, 2-game winning streak. Yeah, that's huge for them. They only
That's
have
something to
like
roll with.
14 wins this season. So
Mhm.
Playing a 13-win team, New York.
yeah,
Yeah,
Upcoming. Yep.
Yeah, those are insane. I mean, yeah, we'll have to see how those guys play out. Kind of moving back towards the Bucks. How do you guys feel? Do you feel like the Bucks will bounce back from this fine and just return to form like they have been, or do you feel like they might skid off for a couple games then regain it? How do you feel like the Bucks players will rebound from this?
You know, I feel like they're not worried at all. I mean, they've been having such a great season so far, and the players are getting tired. You see this; it's wearing out their body. They have to start prepping for the playoffs. And I was just looking at an article before that says Giannis should start getting some more rest, so he should be sitting out some more games. So I personally think that they should not be worried and should be more concerned about the playoffs rather than this regular season now.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I don't think they should be too worried. Actually, something that happened in between our first show is on Friday they played in LA against the Los Angeles Lakers, and with the win they came out from that game, they actually locked up a playoff seed, and that was the first team this season to do so. So I think that's also really awesome. I don't even know if the Bucks have ever been able to do that,
Yeah,
being the first team to lock up a playoff seed. So I mean,
yeah, it's definitely been a run for the ages for the Bucks. I mean, we'll have to see how it turns out for them this year. I mean, obviously, it would be really huge if they made it to the finals. I think
That'd be
I
awesome.
saw something on.
they have to win around first.
Yeah, exactly. I saw it on ESPN today. They're the favorite coming out of the East, but like you said, it's still more or less like a young team. Like Giannis is starting to get up there a little bit, but
Right.
he's only 23. So
Right.
And one other thing that I think was huge is on Friday the Bucks acquired Pau Gasol, and
veteran leadership. Yeah.
yes,
right.
exactly. Like he's not going to be playing that much. He's toward the end of his career, but man, that is huge. Most of that Bucks roster before that guy does not have any really championship level experience. But Pau Gasol winning a couple titles with Kobe in LA, that's huge, and that's going to help so much. And I'm
Definitely.
excited. I'm really
Definitely.
excited.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting postseason for the Bucks. I mean, just looking like the big thing for the East last year was it was going through LeBron. Everyone knew
Right.
it. I mean, LeBron was down a couple times in the East last year and pulled them through it. I mean, the Celtics almost had him, the Pacers almost had him, and he pulled it out. And
Right.
the Bucks, it was really their first time like being a real playoff team last year and playing against the Celtics. They almost took that series. It's just Boston obviously has a really great home court advantage, but
Mhm.
the Bucks, that's one thing they don't have to worry about this year, is because if they lock up this number 1 seed and finish the season strong, they'll get the number 1 overall seed and have every home court advantage throughout the playoffs,
Right.
which I think will be a huge factor to them because we have some real loyal Milwaukee Bucks fans here.
And that'd be a great story for the brand new stadium.
Pfizer Forum,
Right.
exactly, hosting the finals in their first year. Talk
Right.
about, a great story for Milwaukee and Wisconsin. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. How do you guys feel about, as you've seen, like, Giannis these past couple games, he's kind of dropped off stat-wise since the All-Star break. Do you guys
Mhm.
feel like that should be a cause for concern, or do you feel like they're just, like, a little rusty coming back from the All-Star break, or you feel like it's just been a bad couple games for him? What are your guys' thoughts on him?
You know, I feel just like he's personally just trying to take it easy, take back, and relax, and prep himself for the playoffs because he knows that this is a big season that he's got behind him, but he knows this is a big chance to potentially go to the championship.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with what you're saying, Tyler. I think he's got he can't. You don't want to take too much off the gas pedal because, especially as a young player, if you do that and you haven't really done much in the playoffs, you don't know if you can turn it right back on right away when you need to.
Exactly.
So I don't think he should be coasting. I think they should be resting him a little more, like what Tyler was saying, because it is coming down toward the end of the season, and if the Bucks want to make a huge playoff run, they're going to need him at full strength.
Yeah, and just kind of adding another thing about that is this Bucks team, I think it's not just this year it's not like a one and done year for the Bucks. They have a bright future ahead of them.
Right.
As you've seen, like we'll get to this a little later about Eric Bledsoe's contract extension, but
huge.
he'll be another key piece to these Bucks. If the Bucks can keep a guy like Chris Middleton, maybe even pick up another big name in free agency, and as well as like Brook Lopez, if we keep those guys on the Bucks
and
then,
Brogdon,
Brogdon, he is.
You could argue
what
he's
they're
the second
rolling
best
with
player.
right now.
Yeah, he is
phenomenal.
something special. He's lights out from three, great free throw shooter. So
great player in general.
He's probably one of the most underrated players I'd say in the NBA, just because
he is so good.
a lot of people don't know about him. He's clutch. Chris Middleton's clutch.
Well, and the Bucks, like they are honestly built perfectly for today's NBA.
Yeah, yep. They're 3-point shooters at every position.
Yeah, they have the coach of the year on their side.
Oh yeah,
and Coach Bud. That's huge. They have a guy like Giannis, who is basically a point forward. He's 7 feet tall, and he can handle the ball. And he has spread around all shooters, including the center. And everyone on that team can play defense, and they're long.
Yeah,
right. Brook Lopez setting the record with 6 blocks in 6 minutes. That's insane.
Right.
Yeah,
it's unheard of.
These guys are posting numbers that Milwaukee's never seen before.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, you have Bledsoe, who's 6'3", but I mean, he is such a good two-way player.
He really is.
And
Yeah,
then-
he's fun when he's going. He is fun to watch.
You got Brogdon, who's 6'5", and he can do it on both sides. And then you got guys like Middleton, who's 6'8", Mirotic 6'10", Giannis 7 foot. And then obviously Brook Lopez 7 feet. That's going to match if they make the finals, and obviously the Warriors are probably going to be on the other side.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say they have a big chance against the Warriors because the Warriors are just so talented.
The Warriors are the Warriors.
Right, but they definitely can switch on all the screens they do.
Mm-hmm.
There's just this feeling that I've been getting all this year of like this whole NBA season. I don't know if you guys have felt this too, but just kind of the Warriors. I don't know if it's their year. They've
been
like
having an off year.
Well, it's not necessarily that. Just because they've had they obviously are still better than everyone. Like you could tell they have like the best starting 5, but honestly, that team chemistry, I don't know if it's like all the way there as well as everyone thought it was. I would not be surprised if another team won this year.
Right.
And maybe it was just being a little greedy, but I don't know if it was completely right for them to sign Boogie Cousins. You know, he's not even out there at the end of the game.
No, I mean,
Iguodala's a better player right now.
Did you guys see last night 30-plus point loss to the Celtics? A Celtics team that was 1-5 after the All-Star break.
Yeah,
so,
and then KD and Steve Kerr were complaining on different viewpoints of where they came from with coaching too, like playing on anger rather than what KD said, playing on energy. So
I think Anthony's got another fact checked for us with this. So
talking about that game that was last night versus the Celtics.
Yeah,
Gordon Hayward had 30 points that game.
Yeah, that's what his third 30-point game coming off the bench this year.
And the final of that score was 128 to 95.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, I can't even remember last time the Warriors didn't break 100. Like,
I know.
It's gonna be interesting. I mean, I'm sure it's just the Warriors. It's like towards the end of the year, they're like, we're already in the playoffs. We're just gonna coast. But so we'll really have to check them out like during the playoffs. I think like the first couple rounds while they're playing, we really have to pay attention to those series. And when it gets closer and deeper in the playoffs, we'll see.
Well, and like Boogie Cousins, I saw Magno had pulled up. He only had 9 points last night. Has he even really done much besides his first game?
No,
I think his first game he did really good. But
honestly, like I feel like this year is like picture like 2 flights. He's like was on the first flight with the Kings and the Pelicans, and now he's on his layover right now with the Warriors.
Basically.
Right.
And then he'll be on to his next flight, getting a mega contract with some other team.
Well, and like
So-
last night I saw, I don't know if you guys saw, he almost got in a fight with a couple Celtics.
Yeah, I
including
saw that.
Tatum
Yeah,
and
pushed
Rozier.
him. He just seemed, yeah.
You know, he kind of seems like a liability out there, you know, just with
Yeah.
his attitude. And
Yeah,
also,
it's
he's not really good.
unneeded.
He's not really a good switch player, you know?
No.
The NBA, all they do is do switches, and he was getting exposed last night by the
Yeah.
Celtics.
Oh, yeah. It just, I was watching the game last night. It just seemed like the Warriors weren't playing, like, inspired. The Celtics, like, I watched Gordon Hayward. He had a couple of steals. They were just, like, dinky passes. They weren't great passes. The Warriors just looked like they didn't want to be there. Like,
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it's just because we're, like, in this part of the season where it's high,
after
where
the
it's
All-Star
low
break.
risk.
Yep.
So, but yeah, we'll see how that plays out. We'll see if the Bucks really do have a shot against them, if they can make it through the playoffs. So,
I definitely think this year's NBA playoffs, both in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, I think it's gonna be really fun to watch. I think both sides
yeah.
they have a lot of talented teams, and I think the Warriors it's gonna be a run for their money. You know, I think it's gonna be a lot tougher to get to the finals this year. They're gonna have to potentially play Houston or OKC or even Denver, who's a really good team this year.
Yeah, I think the playoffs will definitely go way into June this year, just because there'll be
Yeah.
a lot of seven-game
sevens,
series,
yep.
Right.
and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, you got teams in the West. The West isn't just the Warriors anymore. You got
No.
teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Rockets. Obviously, got guys like James Harden, Paul George, looking up at like MVP candidate years. So
Got
I
another
mean, you
fact
never
check,
know.
Magno,
So
or-
yeah, Magno, what do you got for us?
Yeah, well, so Magno's showing me the screen right now. So obviously the Warriors, they're still number one in the West, but a game and a half behind are the Denver Nuggets.
Oh,
So-
wow.
That's a surprise that
Yeah,
I don't
and-
think anyone saw coming.
And honestly, what's surprising me more is the Rockets. I didn't even realize they're the number 3 seed right now.
Wow, they came back.
They've had-
they had a horrible start to
Oh.
the year, and they just clawed their way back. It's
You know,
impressive.
I
So,
really want Giannis to win MVP this season, but
it's
I
tough.
I
when you got
wouldn't
a
be
guy like James
surprised if
Harden.
Harden gets it
Yeah.
again.
That dude is a relentless scorer. He doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It's insane to
They're-
watch.
them
but,
and OKC are tied for third, and they're both 5 games behind the number 1 seed. So,
yeah,
like I mentioned, those 4 teams, those are going to be
The
those
big
are gonna be tough
contenders.
outs for the Warriors.
yeah. I mean, talking about that coming out of the East. I mean, you see teams like the Celtics. Obviously, they get that big win after the Warriors, but they were struggling before that. You have the Raptors, who've had a decent year,
Right.
as well as 76ers. So it'll be interesting in the East as well. I think both sides will be a lot of 7-game series.
Wow,
So
and Magno's showing me another thing that the Indiana Pacers, we were talking about this last week.
they
Yeah.
have shocked me.
They're still the number 3 team in the East.
And the
Really?
thing that I don't get is Victor Oladipo's been out for, I don't know, like four weeks now,
Yeah.
4
Right,
or 5 weeks,
yeah.
and
He's
they-
not coming back.
They haven't missed a beat,
for-
and that's not that's not negative towards Victor Oladipo. Obviously, he's the heart and soul of that team, but just showing that this team is well coached and they're motivated. I mean,
they're going to be a tough out as well.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they were tough for LeBron last
Oh, yeah.
year, and
I mean, you go to Indiana, that's a tough environment
yeah,
to win.
if people aren't
For any
careful,
team.
be ready to see Bogdanovich being the best player going
he
into the
was
final.
so good
so-
against the Cavs last year in the first round.
Exactly.
I don't know
mean,
why.
yeah, it'll be interesting. I feel like this playoffs for the NBA will reveal a lot of new faces, cementing their legacy in the NBA playoffs. So
It'll be fun to watch. Yeah.
definitely be fun to watch. So with that, we'll be taking another music break, and coming back, we'll be talking some more NFL news. Nick Foles possibly landing a spot with the Jaguars. So we'll be back right after that.
Stay tuned. There we go. We're back.
Awesome, and we're back. All right. So our next topic of debate would be talking about the potential new quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars being Nick Foles. So I'm going to ask you guys, how do you feel about that?
You know, I still think it's interesting that the Eagles, you know, I feel like the Eagles are in a tough spot, and we're in a tough spot with. I feel like the Eagles were in a tough spot with having to make the decision. They both have 2 really talented quarterbacks, one in Carson Wentz, and then obviously Nick Foles, him winning a Super Bowl and being a Super Bowl MVP with that team. Him going to Jacksonville, I think, could be huge. They have such a really good defense. However, I'm going to make the bold prediction. I don't think he'll be as good on Jacksonville. I just think his fit with Philadelphia and that offense was just huge, and that's why I still feel like maybe Philadelphia is going to regret letting him go and letting him walk.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. As we've seen, like in like other times, Nick Foles went to the Rams, went to the Chiefs,
Right.
did nothing, and like
Well, even when he was on the Eagles before with a different coach.
he was kind of a stud. Like, well, I mean, yeah, towards the end he wasn't, but like
Yeah.
that one year that he came in, he had 27 touchdowns and 2
Yeah, you're
interceptions.
right, you're
Like, he went off. So I mean,
Huge.
yeah. Thank you, Tyler. So yeah, if you just think about it, I cut out.
Well,
There's Nick.
Hello.
There you go.
Hello. All right, we're back. Oh,
once again, take 25.
Mama. All right. As we were saying, Nick Foles. Do you guys think he will end up with the Jaguars, or do you think that will fall through and he might even end up staying with the Eagles?
I don't know. I'm going to say that he's going to end up with Jacksonville.
I believe so too.
And Carson Wentz is going to come back from another injury, and that's going to be Philadelphia's quarterback.
Yeah, I would honestly have to agree with that. Yeah, if you just think about it, like the Jaguars are definitely in need of a quarterback. Blake Bortles obviously hasn't been able to produce like the last like 3 or 4 years, and if you just look at like the Jaguars, not this past year but the year before that, they were one of the hottest teams in the NFL, and like if they really had a quarterback they could rely on, they were that close to beating the Patriots and going to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah, and Magno actually just brought up a really good point. What about Washington? Do they have a chance at signing Nick Foles? Do they even have the cap space though? I don't know. Magno, do a fact
yeah,
check.
From what I've heard so far with the Redskins is they're thinking about going with Colt McCoy. They're thinking that he's going to be their guy.
Was he on the roster?
Yeah, he was on the roster last year. He was actually starting. He was Alex Smith's backup after he had that huge leg injury, and then Colt McCoy actually broke his leg as well.
Oh,
so
geez, you
yeah,
were right. I remember that.
Yeah, so it was kind of just weird. It was almost like a curse being the Redskins quarterback last year because they would 2 broken legs in a row, and then they had like guys like Josh Johnson.
Couple runs.
Yeah, exactly. Some guys, some non-household names. So,
what do you think, Tyler?
Shout out to Josh Johnson, University of San Diego. Go Toreros.
I mean, going back to that question that you said, if Nick Foles will stay in Philadelphia or go to Jacksonville, I was just looking up a little article, and it said that Philadelphia had tried to pick up Foles for the 2019 option for $20 million just this past February, but he voided the option by paying out $2 million to move. Mm-hmm. So I feel that he will not stay in Philly, and he's looking for a new place.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the situation in Philadelphia, I think if the Eagles actually made it to the Super Bowl again this year with Nick Foles, then you have to keep him on your roster.
Right.
But since they didn't make it and they ended up losing that game, I think that that's Carson Wentz's team in Philadelphia, and Nick Foles needs to go somewhere else because I do think that Nick Foles is a good quarterback. It's just weird to see how this will play out because every other system he's played in, he's struggled except for the Eagles, which I thought is very interesting. I mean, it's a guy with obviously great knowledge of the game, big, strong arm, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, and actually, Magno pulled up the salary cap for Washington. They only have about $8 million left.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they don't really have that much cap space to sign another big quarterback.
$8 million, but
yeah, that's why, as you guys were talking about earlier about the Redskins maybe getting a guy in the draft, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they got a guy like, I mean, Kyler Murray might be there still, as well as like Dwayne Haskins if he doesn't go to the Giants. Even guys like, I know Magno's high of Drew Lock. Just guys like that, you never know what could happen. So it'll be interesting to see the quarterback carousel and where those guys end up going. So, yeah. All right.
Definitely going to be interesting offseason.
Definitely, yeah.
Especially, I know, I don't think we have this, what we're talking about tonight, but Antonio Brown.
Yeah, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, all the Steelers drama.
Right.
I mean,
exactly. And the
man bleached his mustache. So.
Yeah, I actually saw something today about Antonio Brown that the Steelers are probably going to trade him by Friday. This Friday.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Otherwise, they owe him $2 million next week.
I also saw talking about the Steelers. I also saw a video of Le'Veon Bell and Chris Jones, the defensive lineman for the Chiefs, and talking about how he potentially could wind up on the Chiefs. I mean, imagine that.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, imagine that big backfield of Patrick Mahomes, Le'Veon Bell, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. That they would give a Patriots run for their money.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with this offseason. Another big thing about like free agents are the safeties. I mean, there are
a lot.
Great safety. Landon Collins,
yeah, the
one
Giants,
of the best safeties.
Giants don't want to re-sign him.
Eric Weddle.
Yeah, I saw they got rid of him.
Clinton Dix.
Yep.
Tyrone Matthew.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
a whole bunch of safeties out there. So if a team's in a market for a safety, this is the year to grab him.
Oh, and then what's his name? The guy from Seattle.
Oh, Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas.
Yeah, I saw something about him that he's predicted to maybe even go to the Cowboys.
Except that he wants max dollars. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to pay him that. So.
I don't know if he really
I
he's
don't know if
coming off an injury.
Exactly.
I don't know if he is going to get max.
He's getting older too.
Yeah, he's on the back nine, that's for sure. Same with guys like Eric Weddle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the prime safety that I think most teams would be looking at would be Landon Collins.
Yeah,
obviously
he's only like 25 or 24, and he's been in the Pro Bowl every single year.
Yeah, he's a stud for the Giants. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he winds up next year, as well as all those other safeties. Yeah, it definitely be a lot of old faces in new places next year, that's for sure, in a lot of different positions. Yeah, real quick, talking with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
Drama.
Yeah, drama. That is definitely not an understatement, that's for sure. But do you guys have predictions on where you think, like, first we'll talk about Antonio Brown. Where do you guys think he'll end up?
Honestly, I really have no idea. Obviously they're not going to trade Antonio Brown to another AFC North team because that's the division they're in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're not going to trade him to a AFC contending team like New England. I saw something the other day about Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell possibly going to Oakland
together.
But I don't even. I mean, I guess they probably would have some money because they got rid of Khalil Mack, and I think they're trying to move Derek Carr. But
yeah, that would definitely be a power move for the Raiders. That's for sure.
And obviously, San Francisco's always been brought up.
Yeah, it's something about the Bay Area for Antonio Brown that I'm not really understanding. Like, he's been talking with the 49ers, so.
And
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with him.
I honestly think that wherever the best amount of resources that the Steelers can get for him, like draft picks or players, that's where he's going to go. He has absolutely no say where he can play. He's still under contract for 2 or 3 more seasons.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think since it's been so like toxic, him and the Steelers, I think that the Steelers aren't really looking the best interest for him. They're looking the best interest for themselves, which sad to say, but like I honestly, Antonio Brown put himself in that position.
Well, I don't get it. I saw another thing, something he said this week, saying he doesn't even need to play in the NFL. Like he's fine without it.
Yeah, he's really confusing me. I mean, like I said earlier, he bleached his mustache. Like
what's going on?
I'm confused.
I honestly think he's jealous that Juju Smith-Schuster had an insane season this year.
I wouldn't put it past
being
him, honestly.
Big Ben's number 1 target, winning team MVP.
Yeah.
He's a great, likable guy. I honestly think that Antonio Brown is jealous. And envies that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
That's the type of guy he is.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he winds up. But also talking about that, talk about Le'Veon Bell. Kind of like what I was saying earlier with Nick Bosa and how he held out. Nick Bosa's is understandable because he's waiting for something to prove, but Le'Veon Bell, I don't have respect for that. Like,
I think
holding out an entire season.
You're on a contract.
Yeah, going to clubs in Florida.
Making music.
Yeah, I don't understand what that was about. That just seemed very selfish to me, and I lost a lot of respect for him after that.
And you know what? James Conner.
Yeah, that dude proved himself this year.
He had a great rookie season this year. I'm absolutely loving it. I think he has a really bright future. Yeah, and he also had an incredible year on my fantasy team. So
there you go. Yeah, talking about Juju Smith-Schuster, he's on mine, and he showed out. So that was nice.
Going back to Le'Veon Bell, I don't know. I remember hearing something earlier. I think maybe during the season, people were saying he was going to sign with the Jets or I heard something about the
Yeah.
Indianapolis Colts,
Yeah.
which would actually be really interesting because they had a really good season this
Yeah,
past year.
and honestly, they had a great couple running backs. The Colts did this year, and Mack and I don't remember the other guy's name, but
Yeah.
they had a really good year. And honestly, from what I've heard from the Colts lately, is they're thinking sticking with those guys and seeing how they wind up. So
Yeah. I mean, honestly, with Le'Veon Bell, I think he really cares about the money, and if a team is willing him to pay the most money, that's where he's going to end up.
I just don't really have respect for holding out, especially in the NFL, because it shows that it's not about the game for you; it's about the money. And
Right.
which something that was like really put me off by it was Le'Veon Bell tweeted like a couple years before his holdout, saying like, holding out from the NFL is like ridiculous when you get to play these games, and I'm like,
True.
well, what's
Just a
happening
hypocrite,
now?
right, yeah,
Exactly.
going back and
Which
forth.
I mean, we're all hypocrites, and we all say things like that. But it's just like, come on, kind of like you're a great talent. Why are you like keeping that from everyone
Right.
and like
Mhm.
showing your gifts?
Especially
So-
the Steelers, like that's not a scrub team. They're
No.
a very talented team.
no, and they should have made the playoffs this
Right.
year. It was their own faults for not making it.
Right.
They had the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, arguably the best running back,
Big
a
Ben.
top 10 quarterback. So not a bad defense. It was weird. I was totally shocked when they didn't make the playoffs this year. I mean, obviously no one saw Lamar Jackson coming, but yeah, it was a total flop for the Steelers this year. So one more question about the Steelers before we go to another music break. Do you guys feel like with the distractions of Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown off the team next year, do you feel like they're a playoff team without those two guys?
Oh yeah, I think for sure. I think James
Definitely.
Conner, like I was saying, he has a great future. He actually statistically put up a better season and a better year than I think Le'Veon has the last couple of years.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then
Definitely
obviously
this last year.
you're right. And then obviously Juju Smith-Schuster has another bright future. I think he could someday, maybe even next season, be a top 3 or top number 1 receiver.
It's kind of weird how that happened. It's like almost like they replaced him within a year.
Right.
Like Juju Smith took over for Antonio Brown, and then Le'Veon Bell was replaced by James Conner. It's
Mhm.
like you could honestly show, like, I mean, you could tell Le'Veon Bell was supporting James Conner throughout the year, but like I wouldn't be surprised if jealousy had to do with him as well. So yeah, interesting, very dramatic season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for them and all the different free agency news throughout the NFL as we get going into this next year. So with that, we'll be going to another music break. When we come back, Nick, we'll be talking some LeBron and the Lakers. Yeah, it's been, I guess, a disappointment as well there. So looking forward to that, and we'll get to that after this music break. And welcome back to the late sports debate. All right, guys, so let's bring up a topic that's been kind of brewing throughout all the huge sports things, ESPN, Fox Sports, everything. Everyone's talking about it, and that is LeBron and the Lakers. Has it been a disappointment or what?
Oh, it's been beyond disappointment. I know LeBron was injured and out for 18 games this year, and before he got hurt, they were 4th in the West. But with the combination of that and then the rumors of Anthony Davis, and now even right now the Lakers have, since LeBron has returned, they actually have one of the worst records in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like from that time span of him coming back and him saying that the playoff mode is with us. So it's been beyond a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it either. Like, it's just weird. Like, as you look at it, like, throughout the times LeBron's been in, like, the NBA, he's been able to figure it out. Like, goes back to the Cavs. They have, like, the big three, I guess, going back to the Cavs, but no one really thought they would do too much. But then he goes on to win a finals against the Warriors. He comes to the Lakers. I think a lot of people are expecting the same thing, but if you look at this Lakers team, besides LeBron, it's mediocre players.
They're not putting forth all their effort either.
No, they're really not anymore.
Holding back on defense, and
I mean, if you look at LeBron, like, he's putting up the offensive numbers, and like I will talk about in a little bit. He's about to pass like a milestone, passing Michael Jordan for all-time scoring lists. But if you look at the tape of him playing defense, he's just letting guys blow past him. It's almost like he's giving up on the season.
his teammates are like his team. Hello,
Yep.
his teammates are even like pushing him around on the floor to cover guys around the arc. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, his defense hasn't all been there. I don't think he's mentally been there the whole time.
No.
But going back to the beginning of the year, this constructed team that they put together around LeBron, I think is awful.
Yeah, they don't play like it's not shooters what
No.
LeBron is used to.
You have the exact
And-
opposite. You have a team full of ball handlers, and then you have a lot of young guys. Basically, the exact opposite of what LeBron is used to playing
playing
with. So
yeah, which I've always thought was like interesting. Like when I saw guys like Lance Stevenson, Rajon Rondo. Rondo is basically like almost like a poor man's LeBron. Like he's the LeBron in terms of vision and passing, but not really like obviously in the scoring aspect. But like they both want to run the show when they're on the court.
and the Lakers, they're in the bottom three for 3-point shooting and free throw shooting.
Yeah,
which, which is
I mean,
awful.
guys like Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, those guys are more like mid-range game and driving the lane. They're not really known for their three-point shot. Lonzo Ball was his big thing was he can shoot from three, but he really hasn't shown it to be that consistent in the NBA. So
Right. Well, and speaking of Lonzo, that man, he's been out forever.
yeah,
Is
you can't.
Is he even coming back now, or is it pointless? Like,
I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, that's the thing. Is like when he's on the court, he shows signs of greatness, but he's not on the court. He doesn't play a lot because he's always got some kind of injury. And I mean, I guess it's not really his fault that he can't control that, but it just seems like he's never going to be able to prove himself because he's always hurt off the court. So
this upcoming offseason is going to be huge. If the Lakers, if they don't either acquire Anthony Davis, which I don't think they will, I don't think that the Pelicans are going to trade him to that team.
yeah,
Or if another superstar doesn't go there, it's going to be another probably pretty rough season for the Lakers and LeBron, which is really unfortunate to say, especially coming from a huge LeBron fan like myself. I mean, this season's been already bizarre enough. I'm actually going to the Lakers versus Bucks game in a couple of weeks, and I remember when we got the tickets, obviously they're more expensive because it's LeBron, but who even knows if we're going to see him be playing, because at that point they might just shut him down, which is really depressing.
Yeah, I know. It's sad to see. I mean, that's another thing that I don't understand about the NBA, like shutting down like seasons. Like Anthony Davis right now, he's playing 22 minutes a game. That's random. Like 22 minutes. Like I don't understand. Like if you're a professional athlete, like you would want to work on your craft to get better for the next team. Like I don't understand just like barely playing in a game, giving up on a season. Like what's the point of playing then?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Like I don't get it. So yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
like, keep going, guys.
well, I was just gonna say, with LeBron, honestly, personally, I'm starting to really think, and I think a lot of people are starting to think, that he honestly only went there for Hollywood. I know he still wants to really win, and he still wants to compete for titles, but going to Hollywood really seems like a primary decision.
Yeah, I mean, as a lot of people have said, he wants to start like a movie producing career after he's done.
Right.
I mean, bringing his son out there so he can get more looks like for college and even high schools. So
Yeah, and I think it's kind of sad because obviously LeBron is a once in a generational player.
Yeah.
And tonight he'll probably pass Michael Jordan to be number 3 or number 2 all time. Yeah, number 3.
Number
Still
3,
got
yeah.
Karl Malone
Mhm.
and what's his
Kareem,
name? Kareem.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So he's probably going to pass Michael Jordan tonight in all-time points. But it's just this season, like, you know, it's like he's gonna like it's proud to see him do that, but it's just
it's been a lame duck year. Like if you
Exactly.
think about it,
And,
just,
like,
yeah,
when they lost the other night at home against the Clippers, there were a lot of fans booing him when he was going off the court. And obviously they have the right to boo him. You know, they should be in the playoffs. But I still feel like LA never accepted him. You know?
yeah. And that's the thing with like LA sports fans that I've kind of noticed. I mean, we talked about it last week. The Chargers moving to LA. You see the Rams in LA. They have no fan support, and like I mean, the Rams got a little better because I mean they made the Super Bowl, so they better get some fan support. But the Chargers were in a soccer stadium and couldn't sell it out.
Right.
And now the Lakers are turning on LeBron. They booed LeBron in his last game. I mean,
I honestly think that I don't know. I think he should have never left Cleveland. I know
yeah,
the Cavs, they the past couple years, I mean, I guess when they got rid of Kyrie this past season, or that season, it was all LeBron. LeBron doing everything.
Yeah.
Which, you know, as he gets older, he obviously doesn't want to do that. But
Yeah.
just how much passion that city had and those people had for him. They looked at him like he was a god. And a lot of people looked at him as the GOAT there.
Yeah.
Most of these people in LA, it's like,
They could care less. Like,
all right, it's Kobe or
Kobe, Shaq,
Right.
Magic.
and he's going to have so much pressure to deliver a championship.
Yeah, and people are going to say, like, it's championship or bust for him, which, I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, it really is for him.
Right?
So,
but it's like, I don't know. He's going to be entering his 17th season next year, and if they don't get top 5, top 10 talent, it's not
It's
going to
tough.
look good.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, as of right now, the Lakers have a better chance of getting the first overall pick than they do making the playoffs, which I don't think I've ever would have thought about that in a LeBron team, to have a chance at getting a first overall pick compared to the playoffs. Like, that's just an insane stat to me. So,
No one is safe on that roster except for LeBron.
yeah,
once the
exactly.
off-season hits.
Yeah, we could see a whole, like, clean house by the.
Yep.
So, interesting to see there.
And one other thing I was listening to. So, obviously, the Lakers, they're the winningest franchise in the NBA
yeah.
with 16 or 17 titles.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't make the playoffs this year, it's going to be the 6th straight year that they haven't made the playoffs. Before that time span, they've only missed the playoffs 5 times. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's insane.
So
Yeah, I saw that as well. It was like, yeah.
and ever since they started not making the playoffs is when Jeannie Buss took
Mhm.
over as
Yeah.
the majority owner. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing with the LeBron and the Lakers turns out. I mean,
well, Luke Walton.
I
he's
think
good as
he's out.
done.
Yeah, he's out. I mean, I don't see a point in firing him now. The season's pretty much lost.
Pointless.
So, but after the season, he'll be gone, and it'll be interesting to see who they bring in there.
I'm making the prediction: Mark Jackson.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I've said it
Yeah.
for
Mark
when,
Jackson's a decent coach.
When LeBron was on Cleveland, and obviously ESPN did most of those games, Mark Jackson being one of the commentators, he's such a great coach. Like he was, like I still kind of feel bad that when Steve Kerr got there is when the Warriors were insane. Like they were
Yeah.
already on the rise under Mark Jackson.
Yeah.
So I definitely think he could be a coach to look out for.
Yeah, so in other news, kind of a brighter topic, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but that is Eric Bledsoe signing a contract extension. What are your guys' thoughts on that, and how do you think that will help the Bucks in the future?
I mean, personally, that's just huge for Eric Bledsoe. I mean, he just signed a $70 million contract for the next 4 years, with 3 years guaranteed at $50.6 million. And then that last year is up in the air, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're required to pay him up to $2 million in the last year.
Yeah.
But Eric Bledsoe has just been a great player this last year, and obviously he's struggling outside with only 31% from the three-point line, but just an absolute finisher and like a bowling ball around the rim.
Yeah.
He ranks 95th percentile throughout the league as a point guard around the rim. So
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a confidence booster for Eric Bledsoe, just being he's the guy running the show now for the Bucks. I mean, obviously you have the Greek Freak, but Eric
Yes.
Bledsoe kind of brings like a veteran aspect to that. He's been around the league. He's played for multiple teams before.
Right.
So I think he will be definitely. I think he's the perfect man to be running the show at point for the Bucks, and it'll be great to see like his leadership qualities kind of grow as the quarterback, guess to say, of the Bucks. I heard him in an interview after a game talking about how the reason he's here is like he's just loves the team chemistry that he has. He says that the Bucks really have a great thing going. He said obviously Giannis is the best player on the team, but the great thing he said about Giannis is he's like a sponge and soaks everything up and has a
Right.
lot of learning to do, and he's excited for that. And Eric Bledsoe and Brook Lopez and all those other like older guys are there and can help give Giannis advice along the way. I mean, obviously, they've probably never played with a guy that talented before unless they've been with LeBron. But, yeah, he's a once-in-a-generation player, and Eric Bledsoe, I think, realizes that, and he's like, I want to be along for this ride and
Right.
help mold this young superstar into the star in the NBA.
Yeah.
So,
I absolutely love it. I think Eric Bledsoe is a really, really solid player, especially in today's NBA. He can shoot, but he can also play defense.
Yeah,
And-
which is very underrated nowadays.
And with the NBA, almost every contending team has a all-star point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can have a guy that cannot completely lock them down but slow them down,
Yeah.
that's going to help so much. And honestly, with the Bucks doing the trade last season to acquire Bledsoe,
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that's how small market teams have to look at it.
Yeah.
It's working through the draft to get, getting a guy like Giannis that is so hard and lucky to get.
Yeah.
But, working through the draft and then doing trades and acquiring players, that's how it's going to go.
Yeah,
how it's going to go.
Just think about the acquisitions the Bucks have had this year. Mirotic, Pau
Oh,
Gasol,
Huge.
adding Brook Lopez at the beginning of the year.
Huge.
All have been huge assets to the Bucks. So
And now the Bucks, they don't have to worry about trying to re-sign Bledsoe in the offseason. They can
Exactly,
focus
yeah.
on getting Chris Middleton back, maybe
Mhm.
even getting Brook Lopez, and then looking at Brogdon's contract.
exactly, yeah. Exciting stuff for the Bucks in the coming years, that's for sure. All right, so with that, we'll be going to another music break, and coming back, we'll give our MLB. And welcome back, everybody, to the late sports debate. All right, guys, so now it is time for a little trivia here. So you guys ready for this?
Yes, I am.
David? Feel that look?
Yes.
All right, David's a little tired today, so. All right, so before we get started, we're gonna do a little interview of each of the contestants today. So a little meet the contestant type thing. So first, we'll interview Magno. So
Oh, great.
Anthony, tell us your year in school.
I am a sophomore here at CUW.
Okay. And where are you from?
I am from a small town in Illinois called Grays Lake.
Grays Lake. All right, go Rams. So what sports, like all throughout, like growing up, what sports have you participated in? And then also tell us the sport you're playing right now.
So growing up, I played baseball and transferred over to football, and been playing football my whole life. After that, went into high school playing football and did a little bit of wrestling there too. And I actually playing football right now.
Okay, awesome. So it'd be safe to say your favorite sport is football?
Yes.
All right, fair enough. Okay. So along with the sports theme, what is your favorite sports teams for football, basketball, and baseball?
So for football, I like watching the Bears.
Okay.
For basketball, the Bucks.
Okay.
And for baseball, the Cubs.
Okay, so like you said, you're from Illinois, but you are going against the Chicago Bulls. Do you want to explain why that is?
The reason why I'm against, I never watched basketball growing up.
Okay.
So the first time I actually watched basketball was here in Milwaukee with you guys, watching my first game.
Okay.
And I actually went to my first basketball game at Milwaukee too. So that's why I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan.
That's a good reason, I'd say. So, as we were talking about basketball a little bit right there, real quick, I want to get the prediction of who your NBA champion will be for this year and why.
It's going to be tough, but I'm going to say the Bucks.
You're going to say the Bucks. Is there a little bias there, or do you actually have some reasoning behind it?
My reasoning behind it is Giannis is having an MVP season, and all around the players are just doing good, and their coaching has been phenomenal this year.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that. What Budenholzer has done this year has been outstanding. Wouldn't you agree? He's probably coach of the year.
Oh yeah, he's definitely coach of the year this year.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer for me. So I think that's I honestly there's not much to disagree with there concerning the Bucks. You don't think the Bucks are gonna win?
I don't think any team can beat Golden State.
All right, that's fair. So, well, you answered one of those questions already. So, all right, we'll ask you the same questions we asked Magno. All right.
Can I ask Magno a question real quick?
All right, go ahead.
So, you're from Chicago. So then, who's the GOAT in your eyes, Jordan or LeBron?
That is tough because LeBron has been breaking a lot of Jordan's records. So I got to say they're kind of almost equal, but I still got to go with hometown Jordan as of right now.
That a boy.
If LeBron wins another ring, though, without...
So you're not a full Bulls fan, but you are a Michael Jordan fan?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so moving on, so getting back on track here. So, David, we're going to ask you the same interview questions we asked Anthony. So, first one is, what year in school are you?
I am a international student, and
That is fella.
no, okay. I'm a sophomore.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah,
So where are you from?
I'm from Mequon, Wisconsin.
Awesome. So it's
It's a
travel-
15-minute drive with traffic.
Yeah. So I bet. Do you get homesick a lot?
A little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, it's understandable. So, what sports have you participated growing up, and then also tell us the sport you're in right now.
So, in like middle school and through high school, I played football, basketball, baseball, wrestling. Played a little volleyball in like middle school.
All right. I like it.
Track and field.
Okay. What'd you do in track?
Shot put and discus and 100-meter relay.
I feel like is that last one true?
No, it's not.
Didn't
They
think
don't
so.
have that one.
That's fair. So,
They did have a big man race though, and I was part of it.
a big man race.
Yeah.
Okay.
What place did you get?
I got second.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To put that into context, David, would you like to tell all of our viewers what your position is in football to put things into perspective?
I am a offensive lineman, and I am 250, 260.
So he's a man, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
He's a force up front. So
They call me the Black Bear.
Yep, that we have given him that nickname, so that actually is true. So, all right. So moving on, David, what are your favorite sports teams for football, basketball, and baseball?
Definitely football, the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Diehard Green Bay Packers fan. Basketball, I like the Bucks. Like Magnum said, Giannis, he's got to be. In my eyes, right now, he's the best player on the planet right now. Like,
Yeah, I'd have to
LeBron
agree with that
used
as
to
well.
but I think last year was his last year of being the king. And then for baseball, the Brewers. I like the Brewers. Always been a fan of Braun.
Yeah, that's fair. So obviously hometown all for Wisconsin. So
Yep.
yeah, very consistent right there. Like to see it. So with that, I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, but you said you're predicting the Warriors to be your NBA champion. Do you want to give us some reasons why you think so?
Well, I just think, I'm a Kevin Durant fan, but I think just the Warriors, how they play, they don't really play selfish, and all of them can shoot and score. You could argue that all five are all-stars, and you just can't really beat a team that has 5 starting all-stars.
Yeah, I definitely would have to agree with that as well. I mean, could you guys picture a Bucks versus Warriors matchup in the NBA
Oh, yeah.
Finals?
Yeah,
I
that is
believe
definitely
the
a
Bucks
strong
probably-
possibility.
Yeah, if the Bucks play their cards right, they can definitely make it far in the playoffs.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that. Do you guys think it would be a series between the Bucks and Warriors if they do make it to the finals?
I honestly think they might not lose at home, the Bucks.
Yeah,
And
so do you think it would be
I think it could go down to
if
Game
it did go
7.
to Game 7 and the Bucks didn't lose at home, they would win it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
So, all right, yeah, we'll have to see what plays out. So, all right, so with that, we can get started on this trivia game. So, how this is going to work is I'm going to ask you guys a question. I can give you 10, 15 seconds to respond, and then just say your answer in your microphone first. We can go Magno first, then David. We'll just do it in that order. Just give me your answer, then I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. I'll tell the right answer, and then we'll keep track of points, and we'll say who the winner is at the end of it, okay?
All right.
All right, so our first question is, which team is the only undefeated team in NFL history to win every regular season game and the Super Bowl? Anthony, what do you got?
Okay.
That is tough. I want to. I know it's not the Patriots.
Nope.
I want to say. I kind of want to say the 49ers.
49ers, all right.
That's a good guess. I was kind of thinking that too.
All right, give you 5 more seconds.
The Colts.
Colts, okay. So neither of you guys are correct. So the correct
Dang.
answer is the Miami Dolphins in
Oh,
1972.
God,
Do you guys
Dan
forget about that
Marino's.
one?
That was
Yeah.
my first guess.
That was even before Dan Marino.
Oh,
that was when
really?
they had
Yeah.
a quarterback named Bob Greasy. Do you know who Brian Greasy is?
A greaser.
Yeah. Nope, not a Greasy. No, Brian Greasy was a quarterback that played on the Broncos and Tampa Bay Buccaneers a couple of years ago.
Oh.
His dad was the one that was actually the quarterback during that Super Bowl run. So,
Figures.
all right, so no points so
All
far.
right, I think I got that one right.
None of that's big fella. Sorry about that. All right, so next question. This one should be an easy one for both you guys since you guys have expressed liking Michael Jordan. So the question is, how many NBA championships does Michael Jordan have?
That one's easy. 6.
All right. David, what about you?
Of course, 6.
All right, so you guys now are tied 1-1.
Who's
really-
the GOAT? Michael Jordan. Another point.
All right, so next question. So this is talking about women's tennis. So who has won more Grand Slam titles? Venus Williams or Serena Williams, the two sisters?
Serena.
Serena.
Both say Serena. All right, you guys are both correct again.
What can we do? We're just too good.
I guess. All right, this one I believe will be pretty tough for both of you guys.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I like the confidence, David. So this question has to do with soccer. So
Yep.
which country won the first ever World Cup?
Germany.
I'm going to say Spain.
The correct answer is Uruguay. So you guys
Oh
are
my God.
still tied at 2-2. So we might have to think of some kind of
Tiebreaker.
tiebreaker if this doesn't change here.
How many questions are there?
There's 10 questions. So
All
all right, next question. This is the NFL question. So let's see if you guys can get this one. Who is the NFL's all-time leading rusher?
Oh,
Oh, my God. It's on the tip of my tongue.
it's that Bears running back.
Walter Payton.
Yeah.
All right.
I know it's not him. He was passed up. I think it's Emmitt Smith.
All right. So Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton. All right. The correct answer is Emmitt Smith.
Fudge.
There we go.
All right. So Magno is currently leading 3-2 right now.
Ah, you lucky son of a gun.
All right. So the next question is, which 1990s NBA player was nicknamed the Admiral? So I'll give you some multiple choice because this is kind of a specific question.
Thank you.
Was it A, Dennis Rodman, B, Scottie Pippen, or C, David Robinson?
Wait, what was the nickname?
The Admiral.
David Robinson.
Okay. Anthony?
I'm going to say David Robinson, too.
That is correct. So
Dang it.
point for each of you guys.
Magna, you're supposed to go with Rodman.
I don't think he controls mine, David. Sorry about that. So Magno is currently in the lead 4-3.
For now.
Yep, with a couple of questions left to go. So, all right, next question is an NBA question. So, who has the record for most consecutive games with a triple-double?
Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
Oh, most consecutive. Yeah, it's Russell.
Yep, you guys are both correct again.
Magno, say James Harden.
I know it's not him.
I would have guessed Oscar Robertson, the Big O.
Yeah, well, he got
Yeah.
passed up.
Fair enough. All right, so next question is, this is an NFL question, so who has the most touchdowns in a single season, excluding quarterbacks? So, like, by running back or receiver, some other position.
Odell Beckham Jr.
All right.
Oh, shoot.
Do you want me to give you guys a guess? Or,
Like what position?
yeah, it's a running back.
It's a running back.
Oh,
You want to read
no, I can't even look at that.
I think I know mine.
All right, go ahead, Magno.
I want to say Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith, okay. David?
I'll say Emmitt Smith too.
And you guys are both incorrect. The
Ooh.
correct answer actually is LaDainian Tomlinson, my hometown
Oh.
hero.
Oh, I see.
Of course.
So that makes the score still 5-4. Anthony is in the lead over David. So if David gets this point here, then we're at tie. So we'll have to go to sudden death, and we'll have a tiebreaker question. Okay.
Just give it to me.
So we'll ask this one. So think about this one. Don't think about the first name that like goes into your head. You actually have to think about this one a little bit. All right. So, this is also another NFL question. Who has the most receiving touchdowns by a tight end?
Oh,
I'll give you a
no,
multiple.
wait.
Yeah, give us
You want multiple choice?
I knew who it is.
So is it A, Rob Gronkowski, B, Tony Gonzalez, or C, Antonio Gates?
Ooh, Antonio Gates.
All right, Magno.
Dang, you're making this hard. I know it's Gonzalez or Gates. I want to say Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. And just like that, we have a tie game. David got the win with Antonio Gates for that question.
I was really debating the Gonzalez though.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
it
tough
was-
question because
I knew it
Tony
wasn't
Gonzalez
gonna-
leads everything else
Yeah.
besides touchdowns. So that's led by Antonio Gates.
Let's go. Both up.
So we're going to take another quick music break, and after that, we'll have our tiebreaker question and figure out who is the champion of our
Heavyweight champion of the world.
our
David
first ever
Chesson.
sports debate here between Anthony and David. So be right back after this. And welcome back to the late sports debate, everybody. So we are back, and we have the tiebreaker question, guys. So are you ready for this?
We'll see.
Was born ready.
You were born ready. All right. Well, we'll see here. So, one of the questions prior to this was about who the all-time leading rusher was, and we found out the answer was Emmitt Smith, not that Bears running back. Sorry, Walter Payton, not him. So, this question also has to do with that. It is saying, what is the actual total yardage number for the all-time rushing leader? So, I'm going to give you three options. You guys are going to have to give me the one that it is, okay?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So first option is 18,355 yards. Second option is 20,876 yards.
20,000.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, 20,000.
okay.
That's for a career.
Career.
Oh,
That first one was for a career. It was 18,000.
I thought you said 1,800. My bad.
Nope. And then the third one is 16,726.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what do you
Magno
think?
choose?
You choose.
No.
So I'll say them again. A is 18,355. B is 20,876. And C is 16,726.
How long did he play for?
Who? Emmitt Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe 20 seasons.
Okay, I'm going with 20,000.
Okay.
Dang it. I was going to go with 20,000. I want to go with 20,000. But
You might as well. That way we can have another question.
I don't know if he has one prepared, though.
Oh, yeah, I got some up my sleeve.
All right.
All right. I'll go 20,000.
And you both are incorrect.
So it was the 18.
The correct answer to that was actually 18,355
Yeah, I was thinking-
I was
held by
thinking
Emmitt
that.
Smith.
I'm really glad you didn't choose it, Magno.
Yeah,
Glad you're doing this.
I'm regretting it now.
So, Magno, I wouldn't listen to your competitor. I think that's just not doing it for
Well,
you.
I want to see what kind of questions you have up your sleeve, too.
Oh, you want to see the kind of questions? All right.
Yeah,
So-
raise your sleeve.
Sorry, it's
Little
2 tickets to the
sunburnt.
gun show there, so sorry about that.
No.
Anyway,
You can't say
so
that on live television.
this is the radio, buddy. All right, anyway.
Live audience on the radio.
All right, so getting back on track here. So this next question is, who is the all-time passing yards leader? Is it A, Peyton Manning, B, Drew Brees, or C, Tom Brady?
Drew Brees.
Okay.
I'm going to say Peyton Manning.
I'm gonna go with Peyton Manning too.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, we were about to have a winner, but he changed his answer. So the answer was Drew Brees, and he
You got
decided to
psyched
go with
out.
Peyton Manning.
You got
I
psyched
meant
out.
Drew Brees.
No,
Psyched out.
we're gonna have to. We're going into triple overtime, folks. I mean, I don't think I've seen anything quite like this
Oh,
before.
my God. We were
Triple overtime.
bad.
Wait,
All right.
did Drew Brees break it this season?
Yes, he did.
That's what I
Oh,
thought. Dang,
Yeah, it happened on a touchdown as well.
dang it.
Yeah, that's why I thought at least one of you guys would get that.
I knew it, but then I thought, well, Peyton Manning, like.
I forgot that you threw. I forgot that you.
All
passed
right,
him up.
what's your next question, or do we have to go for a break?
No, I got another question
All right,
prepared
let's
for you
see it.
guys. So, This is also another football question. So this one has to do with receiving yards now. So we're
All
keeping
right.
it in football. So you guys know the sport of football. So we'll keep it there. Who is the all-time leader in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns?
Do we have any guesses?
Do you guys need a guess?
Terrell Owens.
All right, Terrell Owens. Do you have an idea, or do you want me to give you a list of people? The three names that are up there are Randy
Terrell
Moss,
Owens.
Terrell Owens, and Jerry Rice.
I really want to go with.
I'm just gonna say this: every time you've gone with Magno, it's like prolonged the game. So
Yeah, but now you could be doing reverse psychology because
I'm
I'm
just
going with Terrell Owens.
Terrell Owens as well.
Yep.
It's
We're going to a fourth overtime, folks.
It was Randy
Was it?
Moss.
No,
It
it
was
was Rice.
Jerry Rice.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice is leading that record by a lot of yards. So, wow, this is getting kind of tough now. So, all right.
We're beating you, actually, if you think about it.
No, you guys are beating each other. You're like working together, and no one wants to win.
We
I
just
don't
both want meal swipes.
I don't see the winning spirit here.
I'm
So-
trying, but I don't want to lose. That's why I'm staying in the game.
You got to stop playing it safe. Sometimes you just got to go for it.
All right, what's
All
the
right.
next question?
All right. So, this next question
Make it
has
Packers related and I'll win.
Packers related. Sorry,
Make
about
it Chargers related right now.
that. Yeah, I could do it Chargers related. We're actually gonna go to the NBA. So, all right. Do you guys know who the leading scorer for the NBA is right
Kobe
now?
Bryant.
No, for this season.
For the season.
Oh, yeah, James Harden.
James Harden. You
Yeah,
know that
James
too?
Harden.
Okay. So is James Harden averaging 36 points per game, 35 points per game, or 34 points per game?
36.
All right,
36.
that is correct. We're going to a fifth overtime.
I saw that last night when they played the Bucks.
There you go, Magno. All right, so we're going to make this one a little difficult. So you guys have to answer, but you can't have the same
No,
answer.
that's not. Nope.
That's how it's going to have to be because it's also another number-related one. Okay?
Oh my God.
So we talked about earlier with LaDainian Tomlinson having the single-season record for touchdowns in a season. So it was receiving touchdowns and rushing touchdowns. So is that total number 31 touchdowns, 27 touchdowns, or 26 touchdowns?
What was the
31, 27, or 26?
I'm gonna go with 27.
All right.
27.
You can't choose the same number.
Yeah, I said choose another number.
31.
31 is correct. David is our champion
Nice game.
after 5 overtimes. So we have figured out our champion for this evening.
I'll take your meal swipe on the way out.
Yeah, I'll get you a meal swipe. You can head down to the nest. And welcome back to the late sports debate. All right, so before we go, we wanted to talk about one more topic, and that is our predictions for the MLB season. So, Nick, what do you got?
Dude, as I don't know if you guys can really tell. If you can really tell, but I'm wearing a
Drew
Josh.
Crew.
Yeah, representing the Crew. I'm wearing a Josh Hader jersey. He's the best relief pitcher in baseball, no question. Even as going against closers, he's the best pitcher in baseball. Relief
I would
pitcher.
agree with that. Don't know why I stuttered there, but I would agree with that.
And I mean, the Bucks they were able to retain Mike Moustakas, which was huge. Still got Lorenzo Cain coming back. Obviously, MVP Christian Yelich. We got
Yeah.
Ryan Braun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited. I think the Brewers can make another deep run. Obviously, teams are going to be gunning for them now, and it's not going to be as much as a surprise because they made it to Game 7 last year, one game away from the World Series. So.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the Brewers out of the National League, and I'm probably being very biased, but there's a lot of good teams in the National League. Obviously, the Phillies got a lot better signing Bryce Harper,
Mm-hmm.
And now they might be on the move to get Troy Tulowitzki, who is still a pretty good player.
Yeah, definitely.
And obviously, the Phillies, they were pretty good last year. Also in the NL East, the Mets, they weren't that bad, but then the Braves, they were really good. So I think those teams, and then the other teams in the NL Central, Magno's Cubbies that he'll talk about, and St. Louis, they made another offseason. They signed Paul Goldschmidt in the offseason, so that's going to be huge. But
Yeah, definitely. kind of just going along with this idea of like our home teams. I'm excited for the Padres this year. I mean, obviously they're not World Series candidates at all, but my hope is not to get last place this year. And like this is the most.
I hope you guys don't.
Yeah, I really hope so too. But like this is the most excited I've been for the Padres, honestly, since I've really been alive and followed baseball. So it's kind of an exciting time for us San Diego fans. Gone through a lot of heartbreak in the recent years. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. I mean, in terms of World Series favorites, like you said, I think the Brewers have a really great shot. I mean, they had a magical run last year, so let's see if they'll be able to keep that up. But obviously, you got powerhouses like Houston, the Red Sox, teams like that.
New York, they're gonna be good.
Yeah, exactly.
Good thing they're all in the AL. So
yeah, I mean, and also the team that was in the World Series last year, the Dodgers. So
well, what do you think about that? And Megan, you can chime in too. They don't have Machado anymore. They don't have Yasiel.
yeah,
There we go.
I don't know. No Machado, which I mean, he wasn't there for the full year last year, but they got guys like Max Muncy, obviously Clayton Kershaw, but although he's been kind of like injured so far.
And now their catcher is with Milwaukee, Grandal.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they do, and which honestly could open up a spot for the Padres. You never know. I mean,
True.
We've seen crazier things. So, Magno, what are your thoughts on this upcoming MLB season?
Well, I think that it's going to be a tough road for the NLC Central, or for the Central NLC.
Yeah.
Yes, the
With
NL
the-
Central is really good.
Yeah, with Milwaukee and Cubs and now St. Louis coming in.
Yeah,
It's
three,
gonna be
three dominant
tough
teams.
And then
teams.
the Reds. The
The
Reds, they got
got
Puig.
Yeah.
Yes, with the Reds getting Puig, that's going to be tough
Definitely.
for all teams because he's a very good hitter, I feel like.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. So with that, we'll go to our final music break, and we'll come back and wrap up the show. All right, stay tuned.
WCW is a nonprofit student-run station. If you hear anything that is offensive, please contact our station manager, Israel Mitchell. That is israel.mitchell@cudub.edu. And you may contact our station advisor, Dr. Mark Wolf, at mark.wolf@cudub.edu. That is Mark Wolf.
With that, we'll be wrapping up the show tonight. Had another great show tonight, and a couple things to look forward to next week. We'll be going over the spring training, how that's been wrapping up, talk more about the MLB in the upcoming season. We'll also be continuing to talk about the basketball season as it's winding down towards playoffs, as well as college basketball and March Madness. We'll also be talking about the beginning of free agency as our show takes place on Wednesday of next week, where free agency does open on the same day. So with that, thank you everybody for listening, and have a great night. Thank you. Bye.